Joining me now with more, Bernard Whitman, a Democratic pollster and president and CEO of Whitman Insight Strategies. This is not the first time that Mr. Gruber has been caught misleading us. He said in January that Obamacare was never meant to save money. Don't worry about that. But before it was passed, he said it was a deficit reducer. It was a cost-effective step toward health care cost problems. He said once before that if you're a state and you don't set up an exchange, that means your citizens don't get their tax credits. Then when the states decided not to set up exchanges and to go on healthcare.gov and said we want our tax credits anyway, he said, here you go, you can have them. Forget all that stuff I said before. Now he comes out and says, oh, all the stuff we said about taxes, that was BS. And this other stuff, it's all BS. We had to do it because we had to get this law passed, and sorry.
You know what it proves? It proves that Gruber may be a decent policy expert with respect to health care, but he's a political idiot. That's what it proves. I mean, the fact is, the Affordable Care Act has brought down the deficit by almost $100 billion largely because of Medicaid reductions. The fact is the cost of health care is going down. It went up 8% before this law. It's now going up 4%. The fact is 18% of Americans did not have health insurance before the law passed. That's down to 13%. So the law actually is working.
But what he was saying in the first clip, the long one where he said we had to write it in a way where they didn't score it as taxes, that would have been a problem. He was saying that the system is set up to hide its true nature, which is wealth redistribution. He was saying if we said explicitly that we were going to make the young and healthy people pay to help the old and unhealthy people, it would not have passed. Megyn, so we had to lie.
Megyn, I think everybody knew what they were getting. Obama campaigned on this law for 2 solid years. The law was debated for an entire year. He risked his presidency on the law. We lost the House because of the law. I think everybody knew exactly what they were getting. And the Chief Justice last year, Megyn, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Roberts, right?
Everyone knew what they were getting. Is that what you want the viewers to believe?
That it was a tax. Now, of course, politically speaking, could it be sold as a tax? No, of course it could not be sold as a tax. So we called it a mandate.
You're relying on Chief Justice Roberts saying it's clear?
That is called political artifice, right? We actually...
A decision for which he was roundly panned that turned half the country against him. That's your evidence that this law was clear is the most controversial Supreme Court decision in years, where Roberts said it's very clear it's a tax. An argument neither side paid almost any attention to at the arguments.
You know why? Because here's the sad truth. Governments do some amazing things. They provide for our national defense. They build roads and bridges. They make sure that we
rely on people that lie to our faces, like Mr. Gruber.
And with the ACA, they make sure that tens of millions of Americans have health care coverage.
No matter what.
The ends justify the means. The 8 million people that can't afford health care actually have health care.
The ends justify the means.
No, I'm saying that taxes are necessary to pay for things that government should be responsible for.
Get out there and make the argument. Get out there and tell us that, Professor Gruber.
We don't need to because the law was passed.
That's right. Based on a lie, according to this professor, this architect. Based on a lie.
He was not charged with communicating the benefits of the law.
He was a senior White House advisor on this. He was there
policy,
9 times,
not
Bernard.
on political communication.
Who do you think he was talking about when he was in that second clip? He's talking about a conversation with John Kerry, with the administration. Repeatedly, he met with them, and the decision was to mislead.
No, I don't think the decision was to mislead. I think the decision was, look, you take a policy decision that you want enacted, which is health care, universal health care coverage. We water that down. We enabled people to get coverage that ordinarily did not have coverage. 8 million people, in fact, are getting that. And in order to pass that, you institute a portion of the law. You call it a mandate instead of a tax. If it had been called a tax,
it wasn't just about the mandate.
It would not have passed.
It was about the deception on who was going to pay. Who was going to pay? It was the fraud that was committed on the young people. That is what was argued before the Supreme Court. The system was set up to hide its true nature. Wealth redistribution. That's what he admitted. I got to go, Bernard. I'm out of time. Great to see you as always.
Thank you, Megyn.
All right, good.